Hello there, John Sauter Chevrolet. Jamie here, back with your mystery shop results. So I sent my lead to your dealership on Friday, April 3rd. This was at 2:36, and I inquired on a pre-owned Verano. Now, the first response received was this automatic reply email at 2:38, and then next an email at 2:43. So you did a nice job with your response time on the personal email. That was received within only 7 minutes. However, we never received a phone call. And the goal of the mystery shop is to pick up the phone and call your customer immediately after receiving that lead at your dealership. You want to do this within 15 to 30 minutes of receiving that lead. This gives your dealership an advantage over the competition. Keep in mind that 95% of customers purchase from the first company to call them, so it is important to get your customer on the line right away. Now, there was never a phone call received until 2 days later, and after 24 hours, we're no longer to include the phone call on these shops. We disable the line after that time period. So you want to work on that first and foremost. Again, give your dealership that advantage over any other dealerships your customer may have also sent an inquiry to. Now, I just want to take a moment to show you a screenshot of my call tracking site. And what we are looking at here is April 3rd, when I sent the lead to your dealership. Again, this was at 2:36 p.m. So after this time, we can see that there were no phone calls received by your dealership, and then we move into Saturday. There were also no phone calls received from your dealership on Saturday either. So the first response received was after the weekend, and I did include that voicemail that was left in the audio portion of this shop just so that you could hear that that phone line was working. So again, just be sure that you are picking up that phone and immediately calling your customer. Now, the next thing I want to talk about are the responses that were received. So first, this was the automated response email. Now, we actually don't typically recommend these sent because all responses should be personal. The only time you should send an auto response is if your dealership is closed. If you are going to send this, though, we want it to appear to be more personal. Remember, you want your customer to think that you sat down and took the time to type them up a personal email. So the first thing you want to work on is the response time here. You want to set it to be sent at least 3 to 5 minutes after receiving the lead. And this was received only 2 minutes later. So to me, this would be very detectable as an auto response. In addition, you do state in the email that it's an automatic response as well. So we want to remove that. Now, the good news is, though, it does address the customer by their first name. It also does appear to come from someone. However, when including a signature file, the only other thing you want to include here is a link to your dealership website. Now, this was received in my inbox versus spam folder, though. But you want to also attempt to elicit a response from your customer. So think of a question you can include if sending the auto response, which will prompt the customer to hit that reply button. In addition to that, you also want to build value as well. So include a proposition statement here and give the customer a reason to choose your dealership over the competition. There are no spelling or grammar errors though, so nicely done with that. Now, the next email that we're looking at here, typically to me, it almost looks as though this was also generated by a third party. However, I did include this in the scoring so that you got some credit. However, you want to remember that you only want to send an email prior to speaking with the customer if you've already attempted to reach them by phone and you were unsuccessful doing so. Otherwise, what we look for is for you to pick up that phone, call the customer, and then send a follow-up email after that call, which should thank them for taking the time to speak with you and confirming the next steps with them. If sending an email before you speak with your customer, there is a lot more that we want you to include in this email. First, I want to talk about the positives. Now, it was received in my inbox versus spam folder. You also do have an attention-grabbing subject line, which does define the purpose of the email along with whom it came from, so great job with that. In addition, we look for links, and you do have some excellent links attached to this email as well. And again, there are no spelling or grammar errors. in this email either. So, what we're looking for is, in addition to all of this information, you want to attempt to validate the customer's vehicle of choice with positive words. Say it's a great vehicle or a beautiful vehicle. You also want to address the availability. So, answer whether or not that vehicle is still at your dealership. This would have also answered the question asked in the lead as well. In addition to that, offer multiple option price quotes, alternate vehicle options, and also mention that you will be setting up a future phone call. This way, the customer knows to expect that call from you. For your signature file, again, you want to include that dealership website address and then also build value in the email. So, you want to build that value in each and every communication. So just be sure that you are picking up that phone, immediately calling your customer within 15 to 30 minutes, and then sending a follow up email. Your secret code today is April like the month. Continued practice will improve your scores, so let's make April a fantastic month and continue to work on practicing your shops.